That, but getting back to the Constitution, I meant getting back to that matter about the Constitutional Court ruling yesterday when it upheld a personal cost order against the Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane. And we are discussing that. With me this morning is Professor Pierre de Vos, and we also joined by Justin Ramages, who are here to talk about this particular matter. So just getting back to these issues and the Public Protector, the personal costs, and, you know, all the various nuances at play here. Pravin Gordhan, and of course the SARS matter and the Public Protector's report into that. Again, Professor de Vos, very difficult to separate the issues here. The Public Protector, when she was here yesterday, said to Leanne, there's a lot of conflating that's happening at the moment. Yeah. So with regard to that particular matter, what's your take on it, on where that stands? Because we had several reports that were commissioned by SARS itself into these matters. Some have been withdrawn, others not. And then the Public Protector comes up with her report. So Pravin Gordhan also taking this on review. So what does this mean for her once again?
Well, it's not possible at this point to say what it will mean. It will really depend on what happens in the court. If, as some of us lawyers think, that the court is going to agree with the Supreme Court of Appeal Justice Nugent that there is no unlawfulness in establishing an investigative unit for SARS, it's obviously going to be very embarrassing for her. But I don't think that that's not going to doesn't pose an existential crisis to the Public Protector in the same way that the judgment of the Constitutional Court does, because there might be an honest mistake. She might just have gotten the law wrong, if she did get the law wrong. So unless the court in that case also makes a finding about credibility, about honesty, about competence, it's not going to be the end of the world for her in continuing in an office.
And just given, Justin, yesterday's ruling by the Constitutional Court, will this embolden others who may be implicated by her office to now go to the courts and take these reports on review?
Surely it must, because while we don't want to speculate, we have to also be real about how negative findings against you influence you, and also how negative findings against your opponent might embolden you. So depending which side of the fence you sit on, you might be restrained, or you might be motivated to participate in certain proceedings. What is interesting, if I can separate the two, because I think in this judgment there's a clear, the law and politics kind of mix together quite nicely. And while we see the Public Protector, what we require is an excellent service, but what we can't have is a gunslinger with a shotgun aiming at our representative officials and inhibiting them from performing their duties. Because as a nation, we also have milestones, right? And the targets of her reports and findings should have the opportunity, to participate in judicial proceedings where they take her on review and they say, listen, there's something to be said about your work. And while historically there's been a poor performance on her part, we can't say that permeates through all of her reports and every finding. So we need to be fair in that regard.
Is this likely to have a chilling effect on the office overall of the Public Protector, Professor de Vos?
I think it's inevitable, because there's now a finding from the highest court that really was a huge blow to the credibility of the incumbent. And so while the incumbent is there's going to be credibility questions asked. People are going to ask every time, as I said in the beginning, is this honest? Is this actually credible? Is this competent? And they will exploit it. Especially people who have really been implicated and validly implicated, are obviously going to exploit this, and they're going to play this to try and get off the hook. So it is a problem. I think that it's not going to go away, because the judgment cannot be appealed. It's final and it stands.
So let me ask the question to you that we've asked of our viewers this morning. Following yesterday's judgment, should the incumbent remain in office, or should she be relieved of her duties? Let me start with you, Justin.
Sure. Thank you for the question. And I think it's a very apt question to ask. I think we have a clearly demarcated legal framework which allows for the process to be activated and these processes to run its course. And we're a country of rules and laws that we abide by. So if there is an instance where you have to defend your position in a transparent manner where the public can see and participate in this process of you being held accountable for your performance, that is what we require and that's what we need as a country. So you're not wasting taxpayers' money, you are not abdicating your duty to a third party, you're actually doing your job properly. And that's all we require, just do your job. And that should be the standard.
Professor de Vos?
Well, I think that it's in the interest of the Office of the Public Protector that the Public Protector either resign or is removed from office because there's now a credibility issue that is not going to go away. There is a problem though, and that is the Public Protector is arguing that there are no rules in the National Assembly rules that allows for her removal. The Constitutional Court has said, interpreting a similar provision dealing with the impeachment of the President, that there should be special rules that first establish whether there was misconduct, incapacity, or whatever, and then there must be a vote. There's no such rule, so maybe the only way Parliament can actually remove the Public Protector is if they first change the rules. That is the argument based on what the Constitutional Court had said about the impeachment provision for the President. So I don't think there's going to be removal in the near future.
Well, that's where we're going to leave it. Thank you so much to Professor Pierre de Vos and also to Justin Ramages talking to us here about current matters relating to the Constitutional Court decision on the Absa Reserve Bank case and how that impacted on the Public Protector and her finding in this regard. Well, we're going to take a break.